Good morning, YouTube. This is Aver coming back to continue our discussion on polygamy for those who believe that the one true God has ordained polygamy to be among the sons of men. This topic that we are discussing today is how many wives did Moses have? How many wives did Moses have? And with this portion of the scripture, we're going to turn to or read from Numbers chapter 12 and verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. So everybody knows how that this verse is viewed. And there's a lot of teaching, there's a lot of belief that Moses married an Ethiopian woman. The question is, how many wives did he marry? And did Moses marry an Ethiopian woman? Well, one of the problems that people don't see about this verse is that the actual word there for Ethiopian is actually Cush, Cushan. And so when people hear that term, Cush or Cushan, they just assume that the woman that Moses married was a black woman. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, Moses did not marry a black woman. When Moses left Egypt, Moses went into the land of Cush. And when he left the land of Cush, then he went into the land of Midian. But let's just, for time's sake, jump right into what happened when he went to Midian. When he went to Midian, we all know the story about how that he came into Midian and he wound up marrying Zipporah, which is a Midianite. Now, here's the problem that people don't understand. Midian is in the southern Arabian Peninsula. The woman Zipporah is actually an Arabian Midianite. The tribal people that dwelt in that territory were called the Cushan Midianites. The tribal name was Cushan. So when people read the term Ethiopian and they translate the Ethiopian word, they get Cush, which would lead people to believe that he is talking about the land that sits below Egypt on a map, the ancient Nubia, ancient Tasseti. But this is not the case. Another misconception that people don't understand, that there were three lands of Cush. There was a Cush in ancient Mesopotamia. There was a Cush in Midian, where Moses went. And there was also a Cush that sat right below Egypt on a map. This has caused confusion and causing people to believe Moses married a black woman. And you'll see all of these pictures and you'll see all of these videos being done and black women doing videos. And I don't have a problem with people doing videos, but it's just not true. When you read the text and you understand who Moses' father-in-laws were, you will understand that Moses only had one wife. The Torah says that Moses' father-in-law was Jethro. Then it says that Moses' father-in-law was Chavav, the Canaanite. The problem with this is when they read that there is a Canaanite father-in-law and when they read that there is a Midianite father-in-law, they think that he took a Midianite woman to wife. They believe that he took a Canaanite woman to wife. But the problem is that the Canaanites are a sect of the Midianites, just a descendant. They are one tribe. They are one family. It's just a branch sprouting off the same tree. So when you read the term Canaanite and Midianite, they are one. The Midianites descend from Abraham and Keturah when she had a son named Midian. Jethro, which is the grandfather of Zipporah, is a grandson of Midian, making Zipporah a Shemite, or Shemitic, on her grandfather's side. So there was no Canaanite woman that he married. A lot of people also believe that Jethro was Zipporah's father, but he was the patriarch. That's why you'll read that there's two father-in-laws, one Havav and one Jethro. Havav was the son of Jethro, meaning Jethro was the patriarch. He was the head clansman. He was the grandfather of Zipporah. Now let's get back to how many wives did Moses have. Now that we understand that the Canaanites and the Midianites were one people. Number two, we understand that the territory of Midian, which sits in southern Arabia, in the southern Arabian Peninsula, was a territory called the Cushan. The tribal name was called Cushan, not Cush as in the descendants of Ham. So you see, there were three lands of Cush. In ancient Mesopotamia, there was a land of Cush. In Midian, there's a land of Cush. And in Lower Egypt, the bottom part of the map, you'll see the land of Ethiopia, also known as Cush, ancient Nubia. Even more ancient than Nubia is called Taseti. Now that we understand this, now we must understand, where did the Ethiopian woman? It is said that Moses married an Ethiopian woman. Zipporah was not an Ethiopian woman. Zipporah was the one who showed up with Moses when they said to him, there was an argument with Moses concerning the woman, this Ethiopian woman that he had married, because she wasn't an Israelite. It wasn't that she was black. It was the fact that she wasn't an Israelite. She was a foreigner, being that the children of Israel dwelt in Egypt for over 400 years, and they maintained their language. They maintained their heritage. They would not be assimilated into the culture of Egypt. And then here comes Moses with Zipporah. People want to believe that Moses had actually married a true Cushite from the line of Ham, an ancient Nubian queen. Well, let me tell you what the text says about that. If you look at the book of Jasher, you'll see in the book of Jasher, when Moses left Egypt, he did not go straight into the land of Midian. Moses went into ancient Nubia, what we would call today Ethiopia. There, he fell into the favor of King Kikianus. When King Kikianus passed, he died. Moses rose up as a great prince in Nubia. When Moses grows up as a great prince in Nubia, Moses fell into the favor of the Nubian people. They loved Moses, so they instilled Moses in a high office in ancient Nubia. And the first thing they gave him was King Kikianus's wife to be Moses's wife. But now here's the problem with that. Moses did not touch her. If you read the book of Jasher, you'll see that when Moses left ancient Nubia, the reason why Moses left ancient Nubia, because King Kikianus's wife was the woman who they had gave to be Moses's wife, rose up against him and rallied against him and rallied her people, because she was a king. She was a queen. She rallied her people against Moses and said, "What have we done by allowing this man into our midst? He is not of our flesh. He does not worship our gods, and he will not touch me." You see, Moses, when he came into ancient Nubia, he wouldn't worship their deities. He would not worship their gods. And he would not lay with her. He would not take her to be wife. So they kindly asked Moses to leave and gave him gifts because they loved Moses. And it said that no man would lift his finger against Moses. So when you hear people say that Moses had a wife from ancient Ethiopia, that's not true. If you read the book of Jasher, you'll see that he never took her to wife. And Zipporah was not an Ethiopian. She was of a tribe in ancient Midian called Cushan. And people get the different names of Cush. There's a Cushite, there's a Cushan, and there's a Cushan. They get all of the names tangled up. And when you hear the term Cush, you assume that this is ancient Nubia. Moses only had one wife. Read your Torah. Study the word. Amen.